This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Get ready to dive into the comic book realm where heroes rise and villains take the helm. We're here to dissect the stories in the art. Our source material, we tear the panels apart.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Source Material Comics Podcast. Happy holidays to everybody out there. It's me, it's Jesse Starcher, and coming back to the Source Material Comics Podcast. It's been a while since you've been on this show. Me and you hang out a lot on Unspoken Issues, but Source Material, Chris Armstrong has returned. Are you ready to talk some comic books tonight? They're not exactly 90s, but I'm down to talk just about anything.
Got some 90s flavor into some of the stuff we're talking about, so.
Yeah, we do. So let's start out with the Larfleeze Christmas Special. As you could tell in the chat between me, you, and Evan, you guys will talk about things, and for some reason I get back in there. I'm like, okay, what are we doing again? What are we doing again? So a couple days ago, I was ready to start doing some notes and stuff, and I was like, but I better make sure I know what I'm going to be doing. So why did we land here? For some reason, this is like one of those few comics I never expected you to pick to talk about, but I got to know why you wanted to talk about this.
Well, there's a few reasons. One, I haven't read this since it came out, which was unbelievably 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I really like the character of Larfleeze. I was reading this Green Lantern run. This is in the middle of the Geoff Johns Green Lantern, which was, Sinestro Corps War and Blackest Night and a bunch of really cool. It was kind of the big thing, at least in DC, in the late aughts to the, I guess the Blackest Night was probably before New 52 as well, but so mostly like in the mid to late aughts. And I've constantly think I'm meaning to go back and reread some of that stuff because I read it all as it was coming out. I loved all of it, but it's not something I've gone back to in the years since, mostly because John started with Green Lantern Rebirth, and then his run was for like 8, 9, 10 years, however long it was. Yeah, I kind of wanted to read the whole thing. So that's a big undertaking. I just haven't gone back to that stuff. I also have a friend who me and another buddy have teased him for, I guess, 13 years now about this. He's had this comic book that came out, and he'll only read it around Christmas. He always manages to avoid it, or forget about it, or put it off. I told him he's got to read it this year because I'm going to talk about it on a podcast.
All right, great.
But yeah, I like the character of Larfleeze, who showed up in that Green Lantern run whenever Johns was introducing all these different, the Blue Lanterns and the Red Lanterns and all that stuff. So that's kind of pretty much it. It was Christmas time. I want to do a holiday thing, and there's quite a few 90s holiday specials we could talk about. We did Sleepwalker last year, right, with Evan, but this one wasn't 90s. So I was like, I actually asked you, I think, because I thought you may have already done it at one point when I initially brought it up to make sure you hadn't covered it at some point in the past. But yeah,
I don't know if. I'm trying to think of some of the Green Lantern stuff that I'd covered as far as source material goes. It's few and far between. I don't know. There might be like 1 or 2 arcs that may have included Larfleeze in it, but he wasn't like a main character. Yeah. Now, as far as like stuff that I've read that I've not done a podcast on, I can remember reading a few comics that were shortly after this, shortly after Blackest Night, and then Larfleeze shows up. The Red Lanterns are going on. I wasn't keeping up with what was going on in the Green Lantern comic, but I would go to I'd either pick up a Wizard. Well, I don't know if Wizard was still going on then or not.
Well, at least through some of it. Maybe not. He was gone by the time he wrapped up his run or whatever. But
okay,
at least in the early days of the Geoff Johns Lantern stuff.
I remember seeing the Red Lanterns and going, holy wow, these dudes look insane. And the fact that they're just constantly vomiting blood. And I was like, this is sick. Then I started looking at some of the other Lanterns that had showed up and saw where Larfleeze had come along. I always thought he was an interesting character because he was the only one, which I thought fit. It fit him being the Orange Lantern, which I think is avarice, greed. He's greedy, so it makes sense that he'd be the only person that has one ring and nobody else can have it. I always thought he was neat. He was definitely weird looking, but I didn't know anything about his origin. I just remember him showing up in a couple books I was reading. Now, was he a big part of Blackest Night, or were these lanterns even around at that point?
I think he probably was. I think we covered Blackest Night on the source material at one point, didn't we?
I think so.
And that was the last time I read it, and that was several years ago. I know some of the other Lanterns were involved, but I don't know about Larfleeze. He's just kind of a weird character.
He's clearly a loner.
The Red Lanterns hated the Green Lanterns, and the Yellow Lanterns were the Sinestro Corps or whatever, and then the Blue were kind of doing their own thing.
Right.
And Larfleeze seemed like he showed up in one story arc and then he was off on his own. He would just show up every once in a while.
So, there has been, this is 2000. This came out the end of 2010. So actually 14 years ago, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So at the end of 2010. And I mean, things have obviously changed. He's made his home on Earth in this comic book. He's living in Minnesota.
And like in a junkyard.
Yeah. So things have definitely changed. And, he's apparently trying to make Earth his home. Of course, his personality quirks are definitely something that he has to try, and it's hard for him to blend in with the Earthlings. But anyway, I didn't know much about Larfleeze going into it. I knew a basic understanding of who he was and that he was all by himself.
Get much more in this book
no.
of his history or anything,
But he's a perfect guy to have a Christmas special around.
Yeah,
he's like Uncle Scrooge is the guy from that's from DuckTales, not Uncle Scrooge, but he is Scrooge. He is Scrooge from Scrooged. How's that?
There you go. Now, in this one, Green Lantern shows up towards the end to give Larfleeze the moral of the story. Like, right. Larfleeze sees Christmas as a way for him to get everything he could possibly want, which, as a character, he's never going to get. He's always going to want more.
Right. So, I mean, unless I'm going to give the creative team here title of the story and jump into it. Title of the story is Orange. You Glad It's Christmas? Writer Geoff Johns. Artist Brett Booth. Colored by Andrew Dahlhaus. Lettered by Nick J. Napolitano. Here we go. The story opens with Larfleeze, the greedy and obsessive wielder of the Orange Lantern ring, preparing for Christmas in his own unique way. He eagerly counts down to the arrival of Santa Claus, whom he believes will fulfill his enormous wish list. And it is enormous. It's a large list. The junkyard he calls home in Front Branch. Is that the name of it? Front Branch, Minnesota? Yeah, Front Branch. Front Branch, Minnesota is extravagantly decorated with a towering Christmas tree adorned with lights, ornaments, and a mix of treasures he has collected. I'm going to stop right there. We got to look at this tree. I don't know if you have the book in front of you, but
I do. The first page here.
This tree is ridiculous.
Got a bowling ball in there, a toilet seat.
The toilet seat is hilarious. I love the fact that he tied a bowling ball, and the physics of this thing is bending the tree all the way over so you can put the toilet seat ornament around the top of the tree. What do you think his tree topper is there? Is that a bat?
Oh, I didn't really get a good look there.
Yeah.
Some kind of a stuffed creature, it looks like.
Yeah.
I think that is a bat.
Okay.
I was looking at the thing closer towards the bottom of the toilet.
He hung like a stuffed dog of some sort or something there. I believe that's somebody's mailbox.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
And now, we were talking about Larfleeze.
And a kitchen sink.
Oh, there is a kitchen sink in here. I didn't know anything about Glomulus. So
yeah, he seems to be kind of like Slimer from the Ghostbusters.
That's exactly what I'm.
He's his only friend.
Is he a
and
construct?
He's a construct. Yeah,
Okay.
He seems to be a construct, kind of like the Green Lanterns use their rings to create green trains or boxing gloves or whatever. And he's got a little creature with several limbs, 7 or 8 limbs?
Yeah.
That kind of floats around and doesn't really speak in sentences. He can talk, but it's mostly laughs and screams and stuff.
Yeah. On that first page, Glomulus's stocking is a legitimate sock, and then Larfleeze's stocking. Larfleeze's stocking goes all the way down to the bottom of the page, which is hilarious. Yeah. It's good stuff. All right. So, yes, Christmas tree adorned with lights, ornaments, and a mix of treasures he has collected. Larfleeze, accompanied by his gelatinous orange construct Glomulus, is convinced that Christmas is the ultimate opportunity to indulge his insatiable greed. On Christmas morning, Larfleeze wakes up ecstatic, ready to open the mountain of presents he assumes Santa has left for him. His excitement turns to fury when he discovers that his presents are missing. Convinced he has been robbed, he accuses Santa Claus of failing him. After investigating the untouched cookies and milk he left out for Santa, Larfleeze becomes even more agitated, questioning why Santa didn't visit. Determined to confront Santa, he demands answers. Larfleeze heads to a nearby town. His search disrupts a local Christmas parade and causes chaos in a department store where a child informs him that everyone knows Santa Claus is at the North Pole. Spurred on by this revelation, Larfleeze leaves the town and heads to the Arctic in his frantic quest to find the mythical gift giver. His disruptive journey escalates until Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, intervenes. Hal confronts Larfleeze, attempting to reason with him and put an end to the havoc. Larfleeze explains his belief that if he followed Earth's Christmas traditions and behaved good, Santa would bring him everything on his extensive wish list. Hal tries to make Larfleeze understand that Santa Claus is not real, but Larfleeze dismisses this as a lie, insisting that Earth's most powerful guardian must exist. Hal shifts the conversation, explaining the true meaning of Christmas. He tells Larfleeze that the holiday isn't about greed or getting presents, but about generosity, giving to those in need and sharing joy. To illustrate his point, Hal uses his ring to create constructs showing people helping one another and celebrating together. He then uses them to wrap items from Larfleeze's junkyard, transforming them into gifts to donate to the children. Hal encourages Larfleeze to reflect on what truly matters. He tells Larfleeze to look at his list and find out what it is that you need. Not what you want, but what you need. Back at his junkyard home, Larfleeze begins to examine his obsessive desires. As he reflects on Hal's words about determining what truly matters, he looks at his extensive wish list. Among the items he finds where he wrote, "My family." Memories resurface. Now, I didn't know anything about Larfleeze, so the way that this ended, I was like, geez Louise, what a downer. The second thing was I didn't understand what that meant. Memories resurface of how he was taken from his parents and forced into slavery for reasons yet to be revealed. Now, I don't know if they were revealed by this, but that's what was in the wiki. Larfleeze realizes that the one thing he truly needs isn't more material possessions, but his family. The story closes with Larfleeze sitting alone, holding the list, quietly reflecting on the emptiness of his greed and the profound importance of what he has lost. Though he may not fully embrace the Christmas spirit, a seed of understanding has most likely been planted. So there you go. That is the Larfleeze Christmas Special. So, okay, I like this book. I did like what happened here. We got a couple minutes to talk about the final story here after we've discussed the main story, because there's like a 2-page glomulus story if you want to talk about that. But our main story here, flipping through this, it's a fun book. I mean, you're watching Larfleeze try to work through understanding that, as every parent tries to explain to every kid at some point. It's not about
what you get.
There you go. It's not about what you get. It's about what you give and appreciating what you got. And of course, Larfleeze is like the last person in this universe that is going to understand that. So it's interesting that we're developing this story around him and trying to watch him deal with this and understand what the Christmas spirit's all about. But the book's fun because you're watching him go through this. He's chasing the Santas down. He finds a bunch of Santas in one room and he's like, "You guys are trying to trick me. Why is Santa always trying to deceive me?" Which I thought was hilarious. The cookie recipe, which was so freaking cool. He set out the cookies for Santa and then one page is legit a cookie recipe. Which is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, there are several bonus pages. Like there's the maze where you help Larfleeze get to the North Pole, and there's like one of those mazes you can take a pen and draw the proper path through the lines,
which fits with the story
They all fit into the story that's being told with Larfleeze.
Right.
There was a third. Oh, there's another one that you can make a Larfleeze Christmas ornament. You'd have to cut the page out and fold it up.
Mutilate your comics, kids. Don't do it. Hal Jordan is like apparently the biggest Christmas crumb bum out there. You know, he's got to show up. Now, granted, I understand he's trying to explain to Larfleeze about the Christmas spirit, but you just don't go and tell somebody that Santa's not real. That actually surprised me that they put it in this comic, because kids do buy comics.
Yeah.
The fact that you're putting that in there, I know this was definitely after one reset because Crisis happened in 85. But so I don't know of any appearances afterwards, but I can tell you that I do know it was prior to Crisis. Superman ran into the real Santa. Santa Claus did exist at one point in the DC universe. So
Al just isn't privy to that information.
There you go. See, you could be a space cop all you want. You're not going to know everything there, Hal Jordan. That's my explanation for that. Hal is saying that, you know, if a kid came to me, I'd be like, no. Here's my issue of Superman from Macy's back in the 30s. Okay, maybe not. Won't be whipping that out at any point. But anyway, this definitely ends on a downer. It's sad. It's not one of those like, okay, yes, I understand. He doesn't go buy me the biggest Christmas goose or any of that stuff. None of that happens. It's him seeing my family and then his eyes just getting real wide. And then he curls into a fetal position in front of the fire. And that's the way you end the comic. Which
don't even see Glomulus there with him.
No, it's so sad.
I wish I could remember more about his backstory, because he had his own comic at one point around this time that ran maybe 10 or 12 issues. The way I remember it, he's like the last of his species. So like his core, the Orange Lantern Corps, it's just him and then whatever constructs he makes. I remember him having other creatures he created for himself, but yeah, he doesn't have his family from when he was a kid, like his other members of his species. Like there's not anybody else apparently.
That's sad.
And I don't remember if that was explored in his series or if he was ever able to find anybody else, but it is kind of a downer ending. It also shows Larfleeze is kind of a hard character. He's a fun character to read, but he's not a good guy.
Yeah,
he's kind of annoying, childlike, and selfish, but it does give you a little heart at the end, like a reason to have sympathy for him.
That's a good point. Those were my notes. Did you have any notes?
This version of a Christmas special, way better than what especially I guess Marvel does them occasionally too, but DC usually has like a big holiday special every year or in Halloween. It's usually a $10 or $12 comic that's 90 pages or whatever, and it's a bunch of short stories, and they usually aren't any good. So, but this, is a regular size comic with characters you're already familiar with if you're reading Green Lantern. A good creative team like Geoff Johns and Brett Booth, people that you know,
right?
Putting together, a Christmas story for, it's just way better self-contained, but it's not like 4 or 5 pages like in those specials they usually put out. I just way prefer this. I do like Brett Booth a lot. Yeah. I think I first saw him on the Backlash Spider-Man crossover from the mid-90s. And I've always been a fan of his. He kind of disappeared for a while, it seemed like, until around this time. He started getting a lot of DC work again. He's been around ever since then. I really like his tendency to draw people real kind of lanky and lithe, most of his characters, more than like if he draws Hal in this, he's kind of physically fit and cut and everything, but he's also kind of got like slender build to him. Most of his characters tend to look that way unless it's somebody like, the Hulk or Doomsday or something. I really liked the maze page. When it says help Larfleeze get to the North Pole, and there's the maze in the middle, but there's also a lot of smaller images of Larfleeze and Glomulus. He runs into some polar bears, some penguins, and a Yeti, it looks like. But he's also he's dressed like Indiana Jones, and because he's on the search for this mythical place. He's got the jacket and the fedora and everything in the bag. Those bonus pages are really a cool addition to this. The scene where he meets up with the kids and Hal is like giving these kids their presents, and a bunch of them, I guess, they're kind of taken with Larfleeze because he's kind of weird looking, and they're all kind of like reaching for him, and his line is "Unhand me, human spawn." Just he's got a great way with kids, clearly, and he thinks of Christmas spirit as an attainable thing. Like, when Hal tries to explain it to him, when he realizes that's not the case, he's like, I don't think I like this Christmas spirit very much.
Yeah.
There's also a funny interaction where Hal looks at his Christmas list, and one of the things he wants is a hovercraft. Why do you need a hovercraft? He just wants things. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, I like Larfleeze. He's a fun character. I don't think he is really around much anymore. I'm reading the newer Green Lantern book that they've been doing the last year or so, and it's mostly just Hal and, Kyle and Guy and John Stewart. Those guys are showing up here and there, but they've almost abandoned all the other lanterns. Red Lanterns never show up anymore. The Blue Lanterns don't ever show up anymore. So we haven't seen Larfleeze, I don't think, in a while in anything I've read.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I always thought the addition of the other colors, I'm sure there are a lot of people that were like, oh my gosh, we don't need so many. But I thought it was a great idea. I was like, okay, you want to explore the colors of the spectrum, which I think is what they did, right? Every one of them was a color of light of some sort.
Yeah, the Blue Lanterns were, like Green Lantern's willpower is what they represent. And all of them have a different thing. Like Red Lanterns were the rage and Blue Lanterns were hope. They all had a different emotion linked to their color spectrum on the spectrum and stuff. It's like all the different colored lanterns and stuff, like that was a huge deal for a few years when it was going on. And then maybe it was on the Blackest Night or something else that Johns did. He kind of peaked around the Black Lantern storyline, but then he kept doing the book for another 2 or 3 years. Maybe people just got sick of all the different characters. They were a big deal when he was, doing that book, but then maybe other creators just weren't that into them, so they've kind of gone to the wayside. At one point, I was trying to get all of them. I never did, but I was so into that stuff. DC was putting out these T-shirts that were like, there was a different one for each lantern. So like it would have this. It was just like a black T-shirt that had the symbol on the chest and like the word, hope or will or whatever associated with it. I think I got like 6 of them. I never got all of them. I think I never got, but.
Did you get all the rings?
Probably, because those were like also, comic shops that give them away with purchases and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm sure I've got them somewhere.
I enjoyed myself with this. It's just like you said. I liked how you put it. This is one shot, says it right on the front. One shot, one story. I read recently the 1991 Marvel Holiday Special.
Oh yeah.
And that is the first one they did in the 90s. They didn't have any previous to that, at least under the Holiday Special title, as far as I know. There were holiday related other stuff before that, but anyway, it was 1991, and you're exactly right. It was stories that very seldom seemed like they were going to impact anything. They were usually just tied in with the holiday, and there was a massive amount of stories. There was probably about 7 stories, so it was a pretty good sized book. Yeah, I would rather read something like this where we're taking a look at one character and getting a good story out of it. So, any other notes before we talk about the fun little part we have, the 2-pager at the end of this?
No, that's it.
Okay. So, Glomulus, the title of the story is Where Did Glomulus Go? By Art Baltazar and Franco. Essentially, this is just a story of Glomulus running to different planets that are run or house other lanterns. So, he first visits Sinestro on planet Korogar. He's picking up a gift at every planet. He then goes to Odom and meets up with the Blue Lanterns there. He gets a bluebird, which is pretty funny with what happens at the end of this. And he has Yzmalt, where he runs into the Red Lanterns. Do you think that... what is this dude's name? So, Atrocitus. So he runs into this. Now, do you think that he threw up the fruitcake? And then gave it to him, because I can tell you that Glomulus does not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's wanting to take it.
Then he heads to, what is the name of this? Star Sapphires?
They are the Violet Lanterns, they're the Violet Lanterns, Star Sapphires.
Gotcha.
They existed before all that stuff.
Yeah. So Glomulus shows up on Zamaron. He asks them for a present. What did they give him? Do they give him anything?
They just talk about how they love each other. They gave him a heart.
He ran away with one of their, because there's so many hearts floating around. He grabbed a heart and took off with it. Moments later on an unknown planet, these are the indigo lanterns. And what does he pull from them? I'm looking through
an
here.
Indigo Girls album.
Is it seriously?
Indigo Girls music, like a record or a CD.
So he picks that up, and then he comes back home with all sorts of goodies in his sack and drops them off in Minnesota at Larfleeze's feet. And Larfleeze is extremely excited. He got to see Glomulus come back. He even gets maybe the Easter Bunny, who's very much alive. And the very last panel is he is so excited. Larfleeze is so excited. He got an orange bird, which was the blue bird. Glomulus apparently painted him orange. So cute little story. It's fun. This is okay. I don't know much else other than I could tell what I was getting into just by the art style. This is going to be a goofy, fun one. I could tell. But you have any thoughts on it?
No, I mean, it's a quick little, 2-pager. They're kind of drawn like comic strips, little 3-panel grids. But yeah, not a lot to it, but it's fun.
I agree. So what do we want to do? Do we want to keep this like one episode or two? Because we could jump right into our next thing.
Now we can just do it all together if you want.
That sounds good. So then, folks, you are now going to be treated to a little bonus episode here. So, okay.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
I did cover the Lobo's Paramilitary Christmas Special comic back in the day. And I didn't know it existed until we did the discussion on the podcast. My gosh, close to 6 or 7 years ago. I can remember somebody being like, oh, yeah, you need to check this out. And I'm like, Lobo, whatever. And it may very well be the first real Lobo story that I ever sat down and read. I knew who Lobo was, probably because of Wizard and then DC versus Marvel. That was my exposure to Lobo at that time. And then somebody was like, we got to talk about the Paramilitary Christmas Special. And I was like, okay, whatever. Then I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. This is some of the funniest stuff I've read. And I can't believe I've never given Lobo more of a chance up until that point. So that was the extent of that. But during that period of time when I was reading it, they were like, this was a fan film, right? And I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. And they're like, no, it's on YouTube. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So how did this come up? And for you, did you know it existed and you just never watched it?
I think I had heard about it before, but on another podcast we had done a few years ago, it came up and you had seen it, but I had never watched it. I knew it existed, I guess, but you told me it was on YouTube. I intended to watch it pretty much right away, and then I just kept putting it off. So I had never actually seen it until today.
It's kind of like that Sleepwalker episode for me. Still haven't watched that yet.
Hey, it's still there. But yeah, and I didn't realize how long ago it came out because I think it's listed at 2002 on Google or whatever. So it came in a wave of fan films in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was the Batman Predator, short, maybe 8 minutes long. The first one I remember ever hearing about was Troops, the Star Wars cops parody with the stormtroopers on Tatooine.
I've never seen that.
Which is, I rewatched it again a couple years ago because it had been so long, and it still holds up. It's pretty funny.
That's cool.
Especially if you've seen Cops. So yeah, there was a wave of those films, and I guess it was a lot of people trying to break into the film industry, or maybe special effects people that wanted to show what they could do or whatever. But yeah, I never watched it until today.
Did you see the Batman one?
Yeah, I had heard about that one, and then I was able to get a DVD at Wizard World Chicago one year, like one of the first years I went, so probably in 2003 or so.
All that sounds very familiar. I swear you may have told me that before.
Talked about it. Maybe when we did the Batman versus Predator, I think we did that on Unspoken Issues. So I'd seen that, but not a whole lot of them. A lot of them, I guess, I'd just heard of, and you could get them at conventions. People would throw 5 or 6 of them on a DVD and sell them for $20 or whatever. So
I want to know, like,
they're attainable.
What the one that you got, was it good quality?
Yeah, it looked like they were putting a lot of them on because they weren't really charging. It'd be illegal to charge to watch them, I guess, because of copyright material. I think people were just putting them up online. I had the internet in 2002 or 2001,
right?
It was going to take 20 minutes to download a 2-minute.
Oh yeah, dude.
Video.
And YouTube doesn't come around until 2005.
Yeah,
so this is definitely, in 2002, I don't have a DVD burner until probably 2010. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you can digitally burn this so people can watch it very easily either. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, you could probably put it on into a specific format. But again, I don't think I started downloading movies and TV shows until 2003 when I got cable internet. Mm-hmm. Because you can sit there and let your computer run all night on a modem and download something, but it takes a video is going to take a long time usually.
Yeah, I remember watching the X-Men trailer. So this would have been the summer of 2000. And I had to sit there and I could watch maybe the first 3 seconds. And it would freeze. And then it would continue to load. I'll bet it took probably over an hour for the 90-second X-Men teaser trailer to load up on QuickTime or whatever the computer I was using at the time was.
Right. So that speaks to the quality of what we're going to get here, because this was clearly what's on YouTube for this Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special video cassette. You don't get that degradation unless it's a...
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit bmwusa.com for details.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.
Past copy.
Mm-hmm.
Or a copy of a cassette that's passed a couple times. So I would love to see the original, like, film, clear as day version of this. But
unless they could have made it look that way on purpose, like this would have been before Grindhouse, the movie Grindhouse or whatever. They may have wanted it to look like just because of the character Lobo, they may have wanted it to look like an old Japanese movie or something. Who knows?
I can see that. All right. Well, so we're going to watch this, and I'm going to try and share. So let's see if this works. All right. Let me hit play. You tell me if you can hear it.
I can.
All right. Turn it down just a little bit. All right, here we go. Lobo, Paramilitary Christmas Special. Just like a fun little thing. Oh, no. They opened this up. Okay. Because Lobo just walked in. You know, we opened up with this nice tranquil scene, and then Lobo walks in to some kind of seedy place. But do you recognize the song that's playing just by chance?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. It's a song called Davidian by Machine Head, and it's, I'd say, probably one of their top 5 songs. But if anything, maybe this is why it's not getting distributed, because they would need to get the rights to that music. But YouTube apparently doesn't care. But anyway, yeah, we had this tranquil scene, snow falling, and then now we get Lobo. All right, here we go.
And this is an adaptation of the comic, but it's not like a 1-to-1 adaptation.
It's been a while since I read the comic, but
I thumbed through the book to see how similar it was. I'd read it maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
In a booth. Should I bring around your usual then? Whatever.
What do you think of?
Good as Lobo. He, I believe he would be Leatherface a couple years later in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think that's the case.
Okay. Well, here we have the Easter Bunny, who's
and I mean that's a really good Easter Bunny costume. You know, he's more of a bunny man. You know,
right?
Like you'd see at the mall or whatever. Like actually, you wouldn't see it that good at a mall.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's definitely got a lot more makeup on.
Yeah.
Looks a lot better. Did you see how much they had spent on this?
I don't think I did. Did you?
$2,400.
Wow, that's pretty good for.
It is. It really is.
It looked like Lobo's makeup. You know, Lobo is white. White skinned. This looks more like a silver, but it might just be the quality of the video too that made him.
Right.
Maybe he is white. Maybe that is white paint, but he looks really good. I mean, it's a really good makeup job for Lobo.
Yeah, a lot of people say that this is probably one of the best characterizations of Lobo.
Yeah.
Which is as far as live action goes, I only know of one other. I'm sure there might be more, but there was one.
Krypton, is that what he showed up on?
Yeah. And I liked him on Krypton. I thought it was great.
I never watched it. I've seen images of him, from that. He does look good in that.
Yeah, I can tell you his acting was spot on too in the Krypton TV show. All right, so the Easter Bunny is laying it down here. It looks like this is where he wants to put a contract out on Santa Claus, right?
And he's just doing it because he feels insecure, right? About he's not the big dog. Santa is stealing the spotlight for the mythical holiday creatures.
That's hilarious.
And I don't remember if that was the same in the comic. I remember the Easter Bunny hiring him in the comic, but
okay,
I'm not sure of how close everything is. A lot of stuff in the comic they just wouldn't be able to pull off, on a $2,000 budget or whatever. Like it's super gruesome, a lot of gore and stuff.
Yes,
would have required a lot of special effects and stuff.
I'm trying to figure out what does it say. "Bite me, fanboy" on the back of his jacket. It's got to. Right? I see noticed. Fanboy. It says fanboy on the back of his jacket, but I can't tell what it says above it.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates, and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
That dude, I mean, I know there's probably makeup on his arms, but I mean,
Right,
he looks
yeah,
freaking jacked.
Yeah, they're doing some definition. It's kind of a 300 style.
Yeah.
But they give him the chain on the arm. He's got the big hook, you know.
That's awesome. I mean, it's got the teeth. All right. Old Saint Nick. Lobo's coming for you, buddy. Santa's workshop is looks like a
Evan's going to
nuclear
be
power
so
plant.
jealous he missed out. In the comic, this was the part that was really like Lobo slaughtering the elves at Santa's workshop was highlights, which I think it was Simon Bisley maybe that was doing the art on the...
Probably. It's Simon Bisley and Giffen, I'm assuming, obviously, writing.
Alan Grant, I think, also.
Oh.
I don't know that for certain, but I think that's it.
You're probably right.
No.
This clearly seems to be a Blair Witch homage.
Oh! Hook to the throat.
One. I lost track of the intruder. I can't locate him. Do you have that visual? 3, 4.
The elves definitely have a look.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, also plenty of F-bombs, and they're not restricted to, by the DC Comics Code standard. Oh, no, there's a beheaded elf.
This guy's stumbling in with one arm.
What is it?
The naughtiest one has come.
Yeah.
Not too fruity. Yo, fat! You can hide. But you can't.
Yeah, definitely should have had Jason Momoa as Lobo instead of Aquaman in the
Oh, jeez, criminy.
I think that's popular opinion or anything anyway, but this just kind of goes to show.
You're the real
Uh-huh.
Santa Claus, a.k.a. Father Christmas, Killer Kringle, Big Bloody Nick. Done your homework, boy. Please, call me Chris. Or sir. Can I fetch you a drink? Forget it, Lord Paul. I got a job to do. Oh, yes. I heard.
I think the showdown between Santa and Lobo is a little more extensive in the comic as well. I think Santa might even lose an arm. I can't really remember, but
Oh,
I couldn't resist.
no, he gets messed up.
They are delicacies. He's got a point.
Hey, I'm not paying you to agree with him. I'm paying you to kill Jolly Saint Prick.
Whatever he's paying you, I'll triple it. And hey, we can eat the rest of them together.
I could say that the Santa Claus is not a bad actor either. I mean,
Yeah,
he's, you know,
As for horses,
I'm looking at the IMDb, and
it's payback time for a miserable childhood.
the Santa Claus doesn't really have any.
Hardly seems fair.
Does if you're standing.
He
Credits.
doesn't have a photo or anything. He's got a few.
Okay.
Actually, the only other things he's known for are
Unarmed.
Top, a
mythic
James Woods
symbol
movie
is
that I
The
have
only way you know.
seen, and
Go ahead.
something called Marty in Virginia.
Hmm.
But
Wait.
Easter Bunny
Okay.
is he's in a few other things. He's I think he might be a voice actor more than anything. See Naruto and
Oh, wow.
some
Oh,
anime
yeah.
stuff. So
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit bmwusa.com for details.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Oh, what's this going to be? Sandy's going to give him a present.
You never made the nice list.
What's in the box? Oh, space dolphins, I'm sure. What was the book that we read where it was Lobo was mad about somebody and was going after the space dolphins or something, or maybe he was trying to kill the space dolphins. I can't remember.
was it Lobo the Duck, maybe, or
No, it wasn't Lobo the Duck. Goodness, I can't remember. Me and you did like a few. Like it was like a 5-issue series where it was teaming up people, and Lobo ended up teaming up.
oh, it was Brave and the Bold.
Wait,
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. Okay. All
When,
behind you.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, shit!
Gosh, could you imagine what this would look like with today's visual effects, dude?
Yeah, they can
Like,
make
just-
it really cool. Yeah.
I mean, for $2,400, I'm sure you could probably. Oh, okay. He could do that.
Everything's
The biggest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Oh,
3 cheers for the man.
Main man.
Now, Easter will be the one true holiday. Christmas will be forgotten. Singing a
Light a cigar with a torch.
children from all over the world will worship me as their patron.
I did double check. Andrew Bryniarski, maybe? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. The Lobo.
Yeah.
He was Leatherface in the
Christmas is over.
2004 Texas Chainsaw and the prequel that came out a few years after that. I think he's got kind of a bad reputation as being kind of troublesome to work with.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
Always did hate the holiday.
I was going to say there went Christmas and Easter. Oh, wow. That's good stuff.
Yeah, pretty
I mean-
solid. I also looked at the director, see if he had done anything
Mm-hmm.
else. Let me see if I can pull it back up. It looks like he did a documentary recently called Jurassic Punk, and he's got a few other credits. But as a director, not a whole lot. But I guess he is still in the film industry because this Jurassic Punk movie just came out a couple years ago. There was something. Yeah, here the IMDb trivia mentions it was filmed in 4 days. And you mentioned the budget already. And Bryniarski had wanted to play Lobo for a long time, and in 1999 it says he had circulated makeup tests he had done showing his uncanny resemblance to the main man.
Oh, I didn't hear Rob Zombie's Living Dead Girl in this. I didn't catch it. Apparently that was part of this.
Sampled somewhere in there.
Yeah, must have been. Oh, wow.
I do wonder, I had trouble finding much about this. Mostly just the IMDb page trivia page is what I found as far as background info, but I'm kind of curious, like if it was Bryniarski, was his idea, or if the director had kind of wanted to do it because he was a fan of the comic, or how it all originated.
There isn't. That's the one thing on my mind is like, what do you do? So I found a few things, and bear with me. I threw in the IMDb page. I found a Reddit thread on it. And the other thing that I found was somebody did a review of the movie. So let me read to you Notebook LM. You can throw in as many sources as you want. So if you can find like 5 or 6, 7 different sites, whatever, you can throw them in there. You can ask a question and it'll go through and tailor a bunch of responses and cite the sources. So anyway, I'll read to you. I have a feeling a lot of this came from the IMDb. So the director, Scott Lebrecht, was a longtime fan of Lobo character. He was unable to get enough of the comic after first reading it. He chose to adapt the comic for his first year short film at the American Film Institute because of his love of the character.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates, and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Lobrick's passion for Lobo extended to the casting process. He sought out an actor who not only resembled Lobo, but also shared his enthusiasm for the character. He found Andrew Bryniarski, who had always wanted to play Lobo and even circulated photos of himself dressed as the character. Bryniarski was surprised and excited by the offer, stating that he thought a Lobo film would never be made. If it could be done well, that's the trick. If we could pick a director to helm a huge film about Lobo, who would you pick?
I mean,
all due respect to Scott here.
Right.
You know, I love this portrayal of what we got here, but go ahead.
It's kind of an easy answer, I guess, or an obvious one, maybe, is James Gunn.
James Gunn.
Not because of his involvement with DC so much as look what he did with Peacemaker, which is a very adult, violent, kind of a silly goofball character.
Yes.
And obviously he's going to do Superman or whatever.
I don't foresee that being as happy-go-lucky. But granted, Guardians 3, my understanding, I still haven't seen Guardians 3, but I know that there are some really emotional points in that.
Yeah.
When you see Guardians 1 and 2, and you look at that, I mean, Taserface of all things. All that stuff is like that James Gunn would probably be the one that you would want to see, because he could make this character stand out, be hilarious, and violent. Peacemaker's a great example of how violent things can be hilarious at the same time. I agree with you. It says fan interest also helped to increase the film's budget. Lebrecht was able to get more funding because of the premise of the film, specifically a bounty hunter being hired by the Easter Bunny to kill Santa Claus. People were willing to contribute to the project because of their excitement about this concept. The film was well received by fans. The film was most talked about and anticipated project on campus and was greeted by shots of enthusiasm at its premiere. The film is still considered to be one of the best adaptations of Lobo by some fans. If you're looking at live action, I only know of the two. Mm-hmm. I know that Lobo showed up in a few animated things, hasn't he? I'm sure he had to have been in Justice League Unlimited or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was on the Superman animated series. Brad Garrett, I believe, did the voice.
Oh, really? Ray's brother.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty good. I mean, obviously it's an animated show for kids, basically. So it's a very tame version. Yeah.
Anyway, that is a great way to ring in the holidays. Santa murdered. Let's see.
Now take Santa the Barbarian.
You throw Lobo up against David Harbour's Santa portrayal from Violent Night. Yeah. I just saw that David Harbour, did he say that he confirmed a sequel was on the way for
I saw something about that today. I didn't look into it outside of just a headline, but I think they're trying to find a Mrs. Claus for it.
I watched it again about a week ago, a little less than a week ago, and I told the family, I said, gather around, kids. Let's watch a fun Christmas tale. We'd already watched it 2 years ago when it came out. Remember?
I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, but I'm thinking about watching it again maybe this weekend.
And it holds up. I remember telling them, if this Christmas movie needs a sequel, this movie needs a sequel. And 3 or 4 days later, I'm seeing that David Harbour was talking about getting another one going, because I was like, okay, that's pretty good, because I really enjoyed that. I want to see what happens next. There's a lot of lore they could expand on. But anyway, enough about that. We're talking about Lobo and his Paramilitary Christmas Specials. And this is something interesting to bring up here to get your opinion on it. That book was written in 91. And
even earlier than I thought, really.
Yeah, dude, in 1991. For the level of violence that you were talking about, Image is not going to hit until 92. This is a DC comic.
Right. I'm sure it has a mature label or something on it. I don't know for certain, but it was way beyond what you would see in a Justice League comic or whatever.
Right. And one of the big trends nowadays is David Harbour portraying Santa Claus in Violent Night, kind of Santa the Barbarian. It's taking Santa Claus and giving him a violent edge, retelling a story that makes him a more violent character.
Contextualizing or something?
Yeah, that's fine. That works, because that's what they're doing. They're taking that character and they're like, okay, he's not the holly jolly guy that everybody thinks.
Yeah.
So they're doing that in 91. I guess he's the version of Santa that we got after Crisis.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a trendsetter right there. I feel like that's setting a trend. Back in the early 90s, we're doing this with Santa, and then it gets adopted almost 30 years later. Had a fun time there, man. It was a good little throwback. Anything else you'd like to say before we get into plugs?
One thing before we go, have you seen it? Have you watched the Superman trailer yet?
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Because I have some thoughts. If, anybody gets the opportunity, just like Chris said, it dropped the 19th of December. And, leading up to this, man, what was your thoughts before you even saw the trailer? We've got James Gunn doing Superman. Were you worried, or were you like, it's going to be okay?
Not really worried. Obviously, I love all the Guardians movies. The Suicide Squad that he did, I liked quite a bit. And Peacemaker. Superman is a different thing. It's a lot more sincere than the stuff he's done in the past. He's got sort of an edge to a lot of the stuff he's done before. I was confident he could pull it off. And I remember several months ago when they put out a poster that had Superman and Crypto. I was like, oh, Crypto? I don't know. We're going to do Crypto? That seems a little goofy. But yeah, the trailer sold me. Like whenever he whistles and Crypto shows up, and then he grabs the cape. Like, oh, well, I'm a dog guy anyway. So they've got Nathan Fillion in there as Guy Gardner. Briefly, we see him. We see Mr. Terrific in the trailer. Yep, and they're clearly leaning into the more radical DC universe. It's going to be super comic book. There's not going to be any Superman in the real world stuff. It looks like it's going to be a crazy, super sincere Silver Age type comic book thing. And we've seen the other stuff. I'm fine with it. Like I think I haven't really disliked anything James Gunn has done for all the way back to Dawn of the Dead. He wrote the script for that, the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead. And I love Slither. That's one of my favorite horror movies.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So I've been kind of down with everything he's done. So I'm excited to see what he does. I thought the trailer was great. It was a perfect teaser trailer because it tells you nothing about the plot. It just gives you a vibe, going on vibes with this trailer, which is the kind of trailers I prefer.
All right. Mark pitched it to me to review All-Star Superman. Oh, when this comes out. I've actually had a guy who wanted to talk about it a long time ago. And I was like, yeah, we'll get to it. And we never did. I don't know if that's what they're pulling from, but the Guy Gardner portrayal here by Nathan Fillion. I love Nathan Fillion.
He looks absolutely ridiculous.
I can't take him seriously with that damn haircut. I don't think I could take anybody seriously with that haircut. Yeah. I think that's the point of Guy Gardner, though. Sure. In the 90s, when you looked at Guy Gardner, you wanted to punch his face. Right. And, thank goodness Batman did at one point. So, yes, he looks ridiculous. Does he say anything in the trailer? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
I wanted to hear.
There's very little. I think the only dialogue that we get in the trailer might be when he tells Crypto to take him home.
There was a lot of reaction to the trailer. I'll give you my reaction first, and I'll just kind of tell you what I've seen here recently. If you're on social media, you've seen people talking about it. I watched it, going up to it, leading up to the trailer. If you were on Twitter, there was a lot of concern with how he was looking initially in regards to the suit. I'm not going to shrug a movie off because of that, but it seemed like there were a lot of people concerned. So I remember hearing Mr. Terrific was going to be part of it. I remember hearing Nathan Fillion was going to be Guy, but I didn't know much of anything else, and I wasn't really seeking out any additional.
So did you know Crypto was going to be in it?
I might have.
I could see that being a big shock if people hadn't seen that poster, especially.
I was going to say when.
It may not have been a poster, it may have just been an image, but
I cannot recall if I knew. But watching Crypto as he's laying there and you just see him shooting towards him.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is that going to be? So, yeah, watch the trailer. There's not a lot of dialogue, just like you said. It's all about what the character Superman can do. And the biggest thing that a lot of people are saying, what the reaction is it's Superman saving people. That's what you needed to see. You needed to be able to see this. You believe a man can fly. This guy is going to be the superhero. Who's the villain? Did we get any? I saw Luthor Corp, which, by the way, a lot of people have, for some reason, they're like, oh, I got one nitpick. It's not Lex Corp.
I'll admit I was annoyed by that a little bit. That's a very small issue.
It's not going to be a big deal.
Lex Corp just sounds better.
I don't know why you go against it, but whatever.
But yeah, the only villain I think we see is Lex in the trailer.
Okay. Somebody had shared, it might have been a big website, but you can check out all the Easter eggs, I think is probably what it said. And there was an image from something else, but there is somebody that looks all gray and wrinkly. And
I thought that was Parasite when I
that's
saw
my thought
it in
too.
the trailer, but a lot of people online were saying that was Metamorpho because he's in it.
Metamorpho, he is a good guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You can tell I know my DC comics.
I mean, I know very little about Metamorpho.
Same here. But yeah, most of what I've been seeing is people talking about how they cry. Somebody had posted something about how it was some meme and it just showed some guy leaning down and he's crying. And I think the meme was like instructions on how to comfort your coworker after they just watched the Superman trailer.
People really got a lot of opinions and strong feelings about those Snyder Superman movies. I mean, and I didn't like them. You know, I like Man of Steel. All right.
Yeah.
I think it's got some bad stuff, but overall I like it. I think people are just so happy to see a different type of Superman. So like totally unlike what we've had the last 10 years.
I'm down for that. I mean, if anything, this world needs right now is something that can unify them, and a darn good Superman movie is at least a foot in the right direction. So people can get behind some positive film about a superhero character and not having to deal with the real world implications of some of the craziness. But yeah, I'm excited, man. It might be one of the first Superman movies I take my kids to go see.
Yeah.
I think I told you last Superman movie I went to Superman 4. I took my stepdad to go see Superman 4. I picked every bad movie in the 80s to go watch with him. Let's go watch Star Trek 5. He loved Star Trek up to that point. Let's go watch Star Wars. He was a big Star Wars fan. We go and watch, oh my goodness, what was the first one? Episode 1. It's that
and then
simple.
he became a bigger Star Wars fan.
Yeah, that has been. So let's see, maybe I could kids the Superman and, I'm sure Caleb will come out of there going, that's the best movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Colton will enjoy it. All right, man. Good stuff. I'm excited. You got any other thoughts?
That's pretty much it. I love Superman. I'm hoping that it's going to be good. And I enjoyed the trailer a lot.
All right.
Hopeful.
See what he did there, folks? See what he did there? That might be what that S stands for. All right. Let's get into plugs. First off, Chris Armstrong, thank you very much for coming on here. Happy holidays to you, sir. Merry Christmas.
Hey, you as well.
All that. What do you got going on over there at Small Screeners? And hold on, I'm going to pull this from my brain. I know it. It's Because Movies.
Because Movies, the world's first and only movie podcast. I do a couple of movie podcasts with my buddy AJ. Small Screeners, we look at direct-to-video and made-for-TV movies. Hopefully by the time this drops, I'll have our last episode of the year up, which is on a little indie samurai rock and roll flick from the late 90s called Six String Samurai. We've also got another episode we're recording tomorrow, just in time for the end of the year. Looking back at the year 1999, 25 years ago, we're going to do our top 10 movies of 1999.
Ooh,
those
exciting.
should both be out before December 31st.
Awesome. Hey, this is getting edited and going up right on Christmas. My plugs, let me grab my schedule, and I can tell you, Monday the 16th, it dropped on Unspoken Issues, me, Derry, and Dean discussing Gen 13 issues.
Oh, yeah, I listened to that this week.
Yeah, thank you. Issue 0, half, and 1 through 5. If you get an opportunity, you're a Gen 13 fan, this is that first series. We had a lot of fun discussing that. Myself and Al Sedano got together, and we talked Quantum and Woody Volume 2.
Is that the Acclaim version?
Yes, this is 1997. We did Volume 1. It's Christopher Priest. It's M.D. Bright. I have so much reverence for Christopher Priest in his writing. He does some funny stuff in these issues. We're going to finish out the series sometime in January. I think that's the plan. We'll finish Volume 3 pretty soon. And then Monday, the 23rd, starts myself and Mark Radulich, our discussion on City of Bane for the Source Material Comics podcast. Yeah, that was a story right there. Tom King, if I remember correctly, told some good Batman stories. So anyway, you can hear me and Mark talk about that. And that, I think, is all I have. So once again, thank you very much for Chris Armstrong coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. We hope you have a happy holiday, and we'll be talking to you most likely sometime next year. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do meaningful work every day. You get to be the biker who codes as fast as he rides, crafting advanced tech solutions that transform car buying. Or a guitarist who develops harmonious apps and websites, connecting people to people and businesses, all in real time. A savvy soccer mom running solution sets as passionately as she runs gameplays. Be the super secret keeper, designing cybersecurity systems to protect private data and websites. A planet protector, expanding EV battery life and inventing more ways to build a better future for all. When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do career-defining work that solves the greatest problems of our time. Join us and connect to work that improves lives, including yours. Learn more about our family of businesses at cox.career/tech.